It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
I don't want to lose. I want to win.
I need professional help.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sports Betting Weekly, sponsored by EasySportsData.com. The books use data, shouldn't you too? And this is easy sports data, like the preschoolers use. EasySportsData.com.
I win here and I win there. Now what?
Sports Betting Weekly.
I want to win.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
You should also check out SportsBettingLessons.com. You'll learn some old tricks because sometimes how you bet is more important than who you bet. SportsBettingLessons.com.
Let's just do it. Let's meet this thing head on. You were in it to win it. Talk about an education.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Wow, winning.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome to Sports Betting Weekly. I am second half Chaz. It is Thursday night, and it's just shy of 8 o'clock in New York City. I am joined by our good friend Sean from GMF Sports Consultants, who in, 9 sleeps will be, you're drinking, John, right? You're drinking now in your life, right?
Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
You drinking together. And Blackhawk West from 151 Sports Consultants. Now, Blackhawk West, I gave out on the MD's Fantasy Show last night. I gave out your Avs pick, and it was an ugly game, but it was a W.
It was an ugly game, but it was a W. And we fought real hard to win that one. Some of these wins, it just feels like I'm in it fighting.
Well, it was funny because before we hop on the live action, now let's do that. Let's just hop on the live action right now because we don't want to waste any time. In the world of live action, things change so quickly. So let's do this. We're going to start with John from GMS Sports Consultants. He is on an NBA game tonight. Are you not?
That is correct. Yeah. I was kind of watching this game, and we're eyeing the Phoenix Suns versus the Dallas Mavericks. Phoenix, obviously, one of the top teams in the Western Conference there. And to begin with, they were only favored by about 3 points. They're missing 8 in their big man from the middle. But overall, I just like their team and their depth and just the way they've been playing. Now, they're playing in Dallas. Obviously, Dallas has Luka and Porzingis. But I just think overall that Phoenix is the better team. And actually, right now, I think we're probably able to get Phoenix at maybe a pick 'em or close to that. They might even be plus odds right now live. So,
well, let's look at that.
Getting better value there.
Dallas is up according to my notes. It's so funny because if you guys aren't using live action, you really should. But when you use live action is they're live. I mean, their thinking is ahead of ESPN. It's ahead of any game you're watching on TV. I mean, there's no. Remember, like in the Sting, where they were holding those posts, holding the post for a while. All right, so point spread. I got Phoenix everywhere from -3.5 to +4.5. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, they were originally only -3 to start, and they're down right now. So I would say anywhere near a money line. Obviously, whenever you get to NBA, it's always tricky with points. So if you can get a money line option with decent value, I would go that route.
Yeah, I always like to have a little bit of a cushion too. So right now that they are -12 for the game. So we're gonna. I took him at +2.5 at -138, and I took him at money line for -112. So they were favored to start the game.
Correct. They were favored. So we're getting a little bit of a discount here on the end of the first quarter.
It says the line closed at 2, so I got a 4.5 point swing.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, let's see here. All right, hold on one second. Before we get to Blackhawk West, I got to go here. I gotta edit this, so I got to go and make it D.
Okay,
I'm going to D. Save changes. All right, so we just got a hit up by Speedy from New York, and he said that we're having trouble with the stream, so go to D. So we went to D. So we should be back live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And if it's just about 8 o'clock in New York City, it doesn't matter where you are. If it's about 8 o'clock in New York City, you're live, and we're hopping on the Phoenix Suns in the NBA.
That's right.
Blackhawk West has an NHL game that we're going to be looking at hopping on soon, right, Wes?
Yeah, the puck's about to drop in the second period. I'm looking at Boston and Washington, and last week or so, we've been cashing tickets, fading Boston. A couple nights ago, Carolina hung 5 goals on them in the first period, and cashed the entire game's over for us. In one period. So I was on Washington over P1 over the half a goal. We're 1-1 right now. Not the greatest odds, but I feel good about the cash. I think we're going to get it this period. So I'm over 2.5 for Washington team total. And I think that we should cash that this second period. Boston has been playing on the dirty side and spending some time in the box.
All right. So I'm looking at what I have opportunities here. So Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals total for the second period. You think they're going to get 2?
I'm on the total for the game. But okay. I like us to get it this period.
Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to hop on a couple bets using the second period. We're going to use the second period for a couple plays. I'm going to get them in, and then we'll worry about it because, as you know, it moves quickly. All right, so we've got if Washington scores, I cash because I got a half goal. I didn't get a team total yet for the game. I'll see if that comes up at 2.5. Also, but if and then I got the total over 1.5 for the second period. So okay, so here we are live. Let's talk about Wes. I'll give you the ability to talk about John's last week since we last talked last Thursday on Sport Betting Weekly.
Well, I will tell you that there's very few people where when I read their text message, I just blindly go with what they say. And that includes stock market advice. That I do my own research. But for the most part, if you listen to John more often than you ignore him, you're going to make money. And this past week, we exchanged text message. I mean, I wake up, I have coffee, and I don't even think an hour goes by before the three of us are texting one another, about some action. There's a lot of money made in this 3-way chat that we got going.
Well, no, just so you know, I wake up because, John, I don't know, you got kids. I get up, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 8. It depends on how late I work the night before. Yeah, there's no doubt almost every morning that I wake up, there's a Blackhawk West because he's a couple hours ahead of us. And usually it's not sports, it's stocks.
Yeah, usually I'm up at the market and I'm looking at futures. But this past week, with the exception of yesterday, everything John sent out was not only a winner. Not only did it cash, but most of his picks were in that +2 to +6 range, and they were dog outright winners. Like no stress. There were a couple of them where I think we were down a couple baskets in the first half, but no stress, dog outright winners. I think John sent it over. I mean, this man is the dog whisperer this last couple weeks.
Now, yesterday, of course, remember yesterday you prodded a winner out of him. He didn't want to give it to us. You remember what happened?
and full disclosure, the reason I asked it, John was saying he was deciding between 2, and then he posted the pick that he liked, and I said, well, which is the one you didn't? Because I was tempted to go on the one he didn't choose just because of how hot he's been. Nobody's perfect.
Did you watch, John, the end of the LSU first half and the end of the LSU game?
I did not. Unfortunately, I did not get to watch any of that LSU game.
They were losing both times. No. Let's talk about the game because the first half, as you know, hell, I must have had 19 bets yesterday. I didn't handicap. I didn't handicap a bit, and I had like 19 plays. But so LSU is down, and they're losing by more than they're getting. They were getting 4. They were losing by more than 4. And Alabama's got an 89% free throw shooter at the line. Clank, clank, clank. 3 of them. They hit a meaningless 3 at the end, and they lost by 3, but they were getting 4. So I actually
get that back door.
First half and the game. So I was appreciative of that. All right, let's talk about that. Since we're on college basketball, let's talk about college basketball. I've had a lot of luck recently until the Villanova game last night. I've had a lot of luck just kind of doing my whatever I got to do. If it's selling footballs, if it's dealing with the kids, making dinner, I'm the cook in my family, so I tend to be the one in the kitchen. And I don't really pay attention until the game starts, and then I look for opportunities, and really that's all live betting is finding opportunities. And the Villanova game last night, I just assumed they were going to light it up. I got out of the shower. There's 5 minutes gone in the second half, and I turned on the TV, and the stat says they were shooting between them 1 for 10 to start the second half. And I knew my over was shot, but they ended up losing the game outright. So good for them. You know what? If you're going to cost me a bet, I don't even care if I'm not betting on you, but if you're going to cost me a bet, I want you to lose.
You might as well lose, right? I want everybody to lose. Yeah.
So Wes, you're not really handicapping college basketball, are you?
Well, I have been, and it's, we exchange all our messages, and at this point, we've gotten ourselves this good group of about 6 to 10 teams that we are always kind of looking at. Last year it was a lot of Houston, but right now I feel like we've paid attention to Creighton. I feel like we've seen Davidson in our rotation a couple times. So I'm kind of sticking with this core group of 6 to 10 teams. St. John's, that's another one that we've been on the Johnny's a few times.
Those are all Division I teams.
Yeah.
John from GMF Sports has been giving us Division IV teams.
Yeah. So I have been, because quite frankly, I trust that these college teams are going to show up and cover some spreads. I have not trusted the NHL for the most part because of all the COVID protocols and the cancellations. And the NBA, quite frankly, you don't know who's going to suit up and who's not. So at least with these hoops games, we got a good core group that I've been able to pay attention to and understand some tendencies. I even know some players' names. So normally I'm not there with college basketball until end of February, early March, but I'm there now because of distrust for the other sports.
Well, let's talk about a couple things before we go any further. Let's talk about this score that I see. Memphis is losing at home 32-21 to SMU. They were 6-point favorites going in. They're down by 11. I haven't looked at anything. I don't know anything about injuries. Normally, that's what I do. I look for an opportunity by seeing, hey, something doesn't look right. And then I go back and I see, make sure who's playing, make sure nobody's injured, check. But the problem is, as you guys know, it takes 4 or 5 minutes really to do a quick handicap on a game. And in 4 or 5 minutes of live action, a team can go on a 9-0 streak and your opportunity is gone. Right now, I'm thinking I should be hopping on Memphis -5.5. They're down by 11 at halftime. They've only scored 20 points. Memphis has been scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, I was actually tracking that game. They both those teams came out shooting horrible in the first half. If you look at the box score and their stats, I think they were a combined 3 of 17 shooting 3-pointers, and I think Memphis was shooting a little bit over 30% in that first half. You have to think that those buckets are going to go the other way. Memphis is at home. And also Memphis, and they have such a great recruiting class, year after year. So I know they haven't really played up to their ability, but, this is a team that definitely has some stars and some great athletes playing against, I don't want to call them undermanned SMU team, but, when you see the name Memphis, you always get attracted to that.
Right, exactly. And that's what I think what I'm going to do, because we got a football a weekend coming up. So I'm going to hop. This technically is live action. I mean, anything that starts after the game starts. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a parlay, and I'm going to take a second half parlay, Memphis and over 76. Memphis -5.5. And I'm going to fill it open. I'm going to leave it open, because what I'm looking at is we'll see what happens later on. And if we get lucky with an opportunity, I missed it.
And it's gone.
So the parlay is gone. So what I got to do now, I've got to go to live action. I'm going to do that. While I do that, I'm going to have Wes fill us in on what's happening, because the NHL's running out of cancellations. Wes, they can only cancel so many games.
Yeah, they are, and I don't think that we can blame Canada on it either. It's just there's so much travel that's going on. I don't understand. The NHL kind of had it right at the start of COVID. They restructured the playoffs. They put them in the bubble. I mean, the NHL had very few COVID related issues and cancellations and disruption. And at this point, the NHL is really struggling to hang on. And now there's some Olympic controversy too. So the NHL is in something of disarray with their scheduling and player safety and everything else. So the game we're on right now, we're about 4.5 minutes into the second period. We're still 1-1, and Washington's going on the power play. Boston has just been very, very chippy. They don't feel like the same Bruins that scored 7 goals for us in Tahoe.
Well, yeah, that one game, like you said, they gave up 5 goals and they scored. So the over was 5.5 that we had, and sure enough, they did it in the first period, which is unheard of, right?
It is, and Carolina. Like, I feel like last year our go-to team for goals was Edmonton and Colorado, and this year Carolina is becoming very much that team. They're a top-scoring team in the league, and they can get you so many different ways. So that's the first team I'm looking at on certain days for goal overs or to find value, or playing against a second string goalie, or and they've stayed healthy too. So that's probably kudos to the organization in keeping their players on point with the protocols.
Yeah, it's a tough. There's no doubt about it. It's a tough situation to be in because you want to take care of people, but you also they're running businesses, and when people run businesses, they don't tend to. Really, they say they care about the customers and they care about the fans. Come on, they care about the bottom line. And that's that oxygen mask theory, right? You got to take care of you before you can help anybody. So, all right. So here's what I did. I found in live action. I hopped on Memphis, and what I did was I have them for the game plus 3.5 because they scored early. And I have them on the money line plus 219. So we are becoming Memphis fans as the show continues. We are becoming Memphis fans. All right, so let's start with a game. We're going to do a game. Then we're going to talk we're going to do some stuff on the back end. I'll click a couple buttons. It's technology. I click a couple buttons. Other people talk. So let's do this. So first of all, let's switch to banners because right now it's the Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter. You can see our live. And I always love the transparency of our show, which is the bottom line is, you don't have to believe us if you don't want to. Just go back and watch. Every single show we've ever done is on the, let's see here. Every single show we've ever done is, I'm going to try one more time with this New York thing. Let's see here. Okay. I'm trying to get us live. I don't know if we're on Wild World Sports Radio Network or not right now. But we're recording it for our show, so we're fine. Oh, I guess Speedy's in there. So let's see if Speedy is helping us out. Yeah, okay. So let's do this. Let's just talk about the first game. It's the Cincinnati-Tennessee game. We got a weird situation, and we talked about it last night at EMD shows, where the teams that are getting the bye are coming back on Saturday, both Saturday games, and they're both playing teams that played last weekend late. So it just seems a little unfair. So we're going to start with John from GMF Sports. And as soon as Petey fixes the stream, I'll get those banners changed. But so let's talk to John. John, Cincinnati, Tennessee. Well, talk to me.
It's a tough game. Obviously, Tennessee had the bye week, which was best for them. They're able to rest some of their players, and we're all waiting to see the Derrick Henry return, and we're waiting to see him kind of run over people here and come on Saturday because that's what he's normally known for here in the playoffs. It's a tough game, but I actually am going to lean with the dog in Cincinnati here. They beat my Raiders up, and I just kind of became a big Burrow and Chase fan. I think the chemistry between those two is unbelievable. I think if, blindfolded Burrow, that he could probably still complete 90% of his passes to Chase just because he knows exactly where he's running and where he's running to. And the overall chemistry there is just so I'm actually going to take the dog in this situation. Even if Derrick Henry does come back, he hasn't played in a while, so there's got to be some sort of rust issue, I think. I don't know. It's Tennessee needing a time off, but I think that might have hurt him a little bit too. So tough game, very tough game.
All right, Saturday, 1:30 my time, Blackhawk West, Cincinnati at Tennessee.
So I agree with John, and I'll, I broke this down a little bit, and I looked at Tennessee because they're a very balanced team, but Cincinnati has a very good that people don't even realize they have a very good run defense. And so I looked at the games that Houston's lost. I took the Jets game and threw it out the window because it's the Jets and who cares? I'm sorry to say it, but it's real. But I looked at the Arizona game. Zona went up 10-0, and then Tennessee they ended up giving the ball away 3 times. Houston went up 9-0 and then turned the ball over 5 times. New England went up 16-6 and then turned the ball over 4 times. And then Pittsburgh, Tennessee turned the ball over to Pittsburgh 4 times. So I'm looking at 8-13. I'm looking at 16 of their 25 turnovers for the season taking place in games that they lost. And I'm not even counting the turnovers that took place on the Jets. I say that because Tennessee also has a very weak pass defense. And Joe Burrow is, smoking hot. The league has not seen anything like this guy. And he's got 2 receivers that Tennessee's defense will not be able to account for. So Cincinnati really needs to stop them on their first possession, or they need to score first. When that happens, I think that train is going to get rolling. I say this a lot in playoff football. I don't see a scenario where the dog covers and doesn't win outright. So we were wrong last week about, Zona, John and I together. So it's kind of dangerous us agreeing again. But I like Cincinnati in this game. I like them to cover and win outright.
Yeah, I tell you one thing I do know. Tennessee is getting no respect. Yeah, I talk to quite a few people every day, and I check the headlines every day, and I go online every day, and they're just not getting any respect. I don't know what it is, but all right. So we got the new banner up, and I will cover that because what we're going to do now is we are going to take a break. You're listening to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, on the Sports Betting Channel, and at sportsbettingweeklylive.com.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly. I am second half Chaz. If it is 8:20-ish in New York, you probably are now catching us on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And a shout out to PD for getting us back online. Actually, they've got a good guest. So hang around after we're done. Take the money you win watching us, and then you can relax and enjoy the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The loudmouths are on after us. Listen to, we got a goal, Blackhawk West, right? Talk to me.
Yeah, Boston scored a goal. So, Washington did not capitalize on the power play. Anybody that was on the over 5.5 for the game, that's looking great. Yep. So, Washington, if they're going to win the game, they got to score it 2 more times.
They got to score those goals.
Yep. So I feel good about it.
Yeah, and though you should. So I think that we happed on that total of 1.5. So I was hoping to see it go to 2.5, but it hasn't. So we'll sit tight. I like to do that. I like, and you guys have heard me say that there's some football games. If they score a touchdown, I'm betting the over again. And if it's early in the game, I'm betting both the first half and the game over. But there's nothing better than when you've got 51, 49, 47.5, 46.5, 44, and 41, and it's 40.
And the field goal cashes them all for you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so let's see here. What else do we know? Because we're in live action. So we got Phoenix. We got Phoenix getting a couple points. They're a 2-point favor. We're gonna keep watching that one. Yep. We've got the hockey game, as we mentioned, and I am on Memphis. And Memphis is up a few points here already in the second half. But I'm going to pay attention to a couple things. One is I'm trying to get the second period line to over 2.5 for that period. There's already 12 minutes gone though, so we may have to just sit tight. And sometimes you have to sit tight. You really, Blackhawk West does a great job of using the winnings. Once the winnings come in and I start cashing tickets, then I can do other things. So right now we're sitting around waiting for the Capitals to capitalize. So, all right. So to check out the banners, we are live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Check out John on Instagram, GMF_sports_. Consult. Follow us on Twitter at 151_sports. You play like the public. Here's the link, bit.ly, cash tickets here. And it really has been a real nice week. And most of it's coming from you guys. I mean, I had a great weekend. Don't get me wrong with football. But come Monday, I go back to work. And it's kind of hard to do that handicapping. So let's talk about the second game, which is San Francisco at Green Bay. Start with Blackhawk West. This is Saturday, 5 o'clock if you're in San Diego, but you're not. No, before we go to the game, give us a recap. You spent the day with your lovely bride at the Kansas City game.
Yeah, Arrowhead is awesome. I mean, it is. I was actually at one point I was talking to a Steelers fan and he was like, "Man, you guys have been great." I mean, he was a Steelers fan that lived in Denver, so he took the 7.5-hour drive in and it was cool. I mean, I'm giving him the business, of course. Sorry for your loss. Congrats on Big Ben's retirement. He'll never make the Hall of Fame. I mean, that was the kind of stuff going on. And this guy was just it was great to see that Steelers fans were there and having a good time. But we got there early. We did the bud tent, had more barbecue than we care to consume, and it was just I got a great neighborhood in my section, and what's becoming tradition now in KC at Arrowhead is they're running out of fireworks. They blow off big red fireworks and they light up the sky. And the picture I sent you guys, that was in real time. I mean, I took the picture of that scoreboard and it's, due to, our relentless pursuit of greatness and,
scoring too much.
Yeah. And so, and there was just this feeling in the air that this game is, we just needed that first score and we just felt like the Chiefs can do whatever they wanted to on that field. And it felt good because that's actually I was not at the last Steelers game at Arrowhead. That was the first time I've been at Arrowhead as a Chiefs fan and walked out a winner against the Steelers.
Wow. There you go. All right, so we're going to go, before we start talking about the game, let's give me an update on the Capitals.
We're still 2-1, about 6.5 minutes to go in the second.
So are they a man up or no?
Boston's up 2-1.
No, penalty, power play.
No, full strength.
All right, because I'm looking at it, it's showing 4 guys on the Bruins side.
I'm at a commercial break on my screen.
All right, so let's talk about Saturday night, San Francisco at Green Bay.
So John and I both were very disrespectful to San Francisco, and they made us pay for it last week. What I'll say about that game, and San Francisco deserves credit. They went into a huge stadium, a loud venue, and they handled their business. I think that there was a little bit of Dallas giving him the game. I mean, Dallas had 14 penalties, and I think the total yards on penalties was somewhere around 80 or 90 yards.
Those penalties were brutal. Yep.
But those penalties came at critical times.
That's a big difference, right, guys? A big difference is a penalty that's a 5-yard penalty on a dead ball, and a penalty that's a 45-yard penalty that doesn't go in the books as a 45-yard penalty.
Yeah, so I mean, San Francisco deserves all the credit in the world. They certainly created an argument that the Sixes belong in this tournament, but I don't see a world that they're a possible way that they go into Green Bay and come away with a win. 5.5 Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't turn the ball over. They've turned the ball over 13 times this year. That's it. That's less than 1 a game. Green Bay's not going to give them the ball, and it's going to be 20 degrees, and Jimmy G's going to have to make some plays with his arms. Green Bay's going to score almost every time they touch the ball, and this is a Green Bay team that can really rush the ball. So I think Green Bay's going to win this. I'm not a believer yet of Green Bay to the Super Bowl, but I think that Green Bay is probably going to be the most convincing win this weekend.
Well, there's only a couple teams left they're going to have to beat, so they're pretty darn close. John, GMF Sports Consultants, the game is San Francisco at Green Bay, and if you're in Las Vegas, it's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock prime time for Saturday night, so everybody will be tuned in here. Wes, you know how it goes for the championship games. Everybody's going to be excited, and I'm the same way. I'm with Wes here with the Packers. Packers are at home, and there's a man for them, and it's Aaron Rodgers. So if the 49ers can prove me wrong again, I'll be damned. If they beat Aaron Rodgers at home in Green Bay, then I might have to start giving them a little bit more respect moving forward. But don't get me wrong, San Francisco has a great team. They have a great, wide receiver duo, and Deebo Samuel is just amazing at all aspects of the game. He's playing unreal. It just boils down to I still don't trust Jimmy G, and now there's another injury. I do believe they said that he's coming into this week again. The weather at Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. I'll take Green Bay every day of the week in this situation.
Yeah, it really is hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
In terms of the one stat that I'm going to throw out there, if you've been watching us, you know that I've said this probably, 8 weeks in a row, but there's a team in this game, and they played 17 games, and they went 2-15 in the first quarter, and that was the Green Bay Packers. Now, think about that. They are the number 1 seed in the NFC, trying to get to another Super Bowl, and they were 2-15.
That's amazing.
In the first quarter against the spread. Now, part of that is, of course, a slow start. Part of that is, of course, that they give so many points. So what's the average line? A half a point, right, for the first quarter. If you have 100 games for the NFL, 90 of them have a minus a half point for the favorite, not Green Bay. So that's part of that. But it's the same logic that I'm going to use, which is relax, go easy, let the Green Bay get through their first drive or two, and then start betting them for the half, because the line will drop 2-3 points. But they do score at home, don't they? Golly gee, they score at home. All right, Rams at Tampa Bay. Now, I will say a couple things. One, I'm going to say it about San Francisco's game against Dallas. Dallas is not a very good football team. I'm going to say the same thing about the Rams game against Arizona. Arizona was not a very good football team. Neither of those teams got a tune-up by playing those. Those are games that when you play an inferior opponent like they played, and that wasn't necessarily. Remember, Arizona was a number 1 seed just a handful of weeks ago, right? They dropped dramatically, but they did not play well. I don't think either of those two teams are going to help. Those games are going to help these teams going forward. But the Rams are going to go all the way across country to Tampa Bay. Let's start with John.
Yeah, this is just another scenario where I wasn't high on the Rams last week, and they made me look foolish, going against them last week against Arizona. But they put together a good game plan. Obviously, they were able to get up early and control Kyler Murray's damage as far as running, and really constrict it to what he can do. But this is a similar situation where it's Tampa Bay and there's a man named Brady. It's if Brady and Rodgers, if you have those two guys, probably 90% of the time I'm going to back those guys blindly, without even really looking. So the Rams definitely looked way, way better than they did the week before. Obviously, BJ had a good. They put together some stuff.
But I got to get a button for an insert. We got an insert.
Yeah, an insert.
Let's go out to Black Hawk West, who's covering for us the Capital Boston Bruin game.
It's Washington. What a beautiful goal. I mean, it was top shelf. And so you got your over 1.5. Washington, Boston are now tied. So we're on track for everything right now in this game.
We got 2 live cashes there, right? Because we had Washington at a half a goal and 1.5. So that's 2 for 2 on live action in hockey without handicapping. Again, all you do is join our show and you don't have to handicap. You listen
Cash
to
in
John,
quick.
you listen to Wes. You just do what you're told. You know what?
That's
if you're
it.
married, doing what you're told should be pretty easy for sports better. All right, John, let's get back to what you were saying.
So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and back the Bucks here again. You know, this is another situation, little kind of quick turnaround, travel time with the Rams, and just a guy named Brady. You know, I'm gonna back Brady here.
Yeah, I did a parlay last week, a Buffalo Tampa Bay parlay. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a Tampa Bay Green Bay parlay, a Bay parlay. Yeah. You know what? Like Wes, when we go to the racetrack, if there's two horses with Bay, B-A-Y in their name, you always throw that exacta box just in case they run one too.
It's
right?
$2.
Don't you do that too? You know, so yeah, I don't see, but here's the stat. I'll give you a stat. This is a playoff stat. Now, our Easy Sports data takes the playoff games and we go back to 2012. So technically, this is like our 10th year of doing this. Listen to these numbers. 31, 30, 31, 31, 31. Those are Tampa Bay's last 5 team totals for their 5 playoff games since Brady came to town.
Here, a lot of 31s in there.
What is that, right? The average is 30.8. 31, 31, 31, and 30. 5 games. They're 4-0 on a 4-0 run for the game. They're on a 5-0 run for the first half, and they're a 5-1 for the first quarter, but Brady wasn't there back in 2000 whatever that was. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about we're going to check out our live action. We still got some NBA live action. We're 2 for 2, but we got some NBA live action. We got some NCAA live action. You're listening to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I think that's what Petey says, so I trust him. On the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, on the Sports Betting Channel, and at sportsbettingweeklylive.com. Soon to be on Tiki Live. Well, we're going to be in too many places.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
At championshipfootballs.com, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that they sell. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that already has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots fan or an Ohio State Buckeyes backer. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong New York Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law is a 12th man living in Seattle. Know a member of the Michigan State Alumni Association? Is there a better Father's Day gift for someone who's a Baltimore Ravens fan? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, if your favorite pro team is the Buffalo Bills or those Minnesota Vikings, well, they're sorry about that. Also, if you're a New Mexico State Aggies or Tulane Green Wave alumnus, not much they can do. After all, the name isn't nice effort, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. The name is championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hey, this is an important message. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. Sports betting is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If you're hurting yourself by gambling with money you don't have, check out our website for the Gamblers Anonymous phone number.
When Vince Young scored on 4th and 5 in the 2006 Rose Bowl, 2 things happened. The Texas Longhorns won the NCAA title, and ChampionshipFootballs.com was born. From Texas to Alabama to Ohio State, and now for Super Bowl winners too. ChampionshipFootballs.com is the place for the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, 10 years later, ChampionshipFootballs.com has the autographs too. See if any of these names remind you of a special time in your football life. Michael Bennett, Lou Holtz, Joe Montana, Devin Smith, Jameis Winston, Rocky Blyer, Rocket Ishmael, Ara Parsegian, Mike Stonebreaker, Chris Zorich, Luther Bradley, Todd Light, Tony Rice, Lawrence Taylor, Dave Casper, Marcus Mariota, Rudy Rudiger, David Tyree. Enter the promo code RADIO and you'll instantly save $50 on any of the ChampionshipFootballs.com autographed footballs. ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I am second half Chaz. I've got John from GMF Sports Consultants. You can check out John on Instagram, GMF_sports_consultants. I've got Wes from 151 Sports Investing, and that is at 151_sports. I am second half Chaz. What we are looking at, first of all, I'm actually officially done. I realized I don't have any more hockey plays. I am 2 for 2 in hockey plays, and I don't know the rules. So I'm going to ask Wes. You saw that fight last night, right?
Oh, I sure did. And they're calling.
That was an AHL in the 1970s fight.
Yeah, that was one that will go into greatest fight countdowns.
Now, the question I have is, how do the penalty minutes work for fights? Why don't they go to 4-on-4?
Because it's a coincidental penalty for the same thing. So, like if you see a bunch of players gathering behind the net and, one guy kicks the other guy and the other guy hits the other guy with a stick, one guy might go to the box for slashing, the other guy might go to the box for roughing, but those are not coincidental penalties, so they go to 4-on-4. A fighting is both players doing it to each other at the same time, both 5-minute fighting penalties, and they go to the box at the same time. The only disadvantage that truly gets created by a fight is if one of your goal scorers or big penalty, one of your key players is off the ice for the 5 minutes. And that's why a lot of teams, they have their hired goons that go after players, and who cares if the goon is on the bench. And so that Colorado game last night, Rantanen, he was an angry fella, and that's one of the top goal scorers, one of the top point getters in the league. He was in the box for 2 minutes, came out, somebody grinded his gears, and he went back in for 2 more minutes. And so that's the biggest disadvantage of the penalties. So, and with the fight, the refs will not step in and kill the fight unless they go to the ground, they go against the boards or the net, and they're supposed to. It doesn't always happen, but they're supposed to if they see blood.
Yeah, it was great, and it literally lasted a minute. They said it at the end. It was like 1 minute and 8 seconds of just hauling off, because you're holding on. First of all, ice is slippery. Hello, it's winter. You guys know ice is slippery, so they're holding on with one hand to keep each other up and swinging with the other hand. It was just really, really beautiful.
Well, and did you see it? They were holding the jersey, but trying to throw a jab with the jersey gripping hand.
Gotta love that tactic.
Yeah, the old days they didn't wear as many pads as they do now. The dude was trying to get his pad off so he could use his arm. It was just classic. It was classic. All right,
well, but this is kind of going back into that. I went to the Knights game and I was pretty close to the ice, and I follow hockey. I've never really been that close, but let me tell you, the size of these hockey players, they look like linebackers in the NFL. These guys are huge. I never really knew how big they were until you got to see them that close. I've never sat that close before, great seats. And I was just, man, the way these guys skate and how big they are, yeah, these guys are pretty big.
They're big.
Amazing. Yeah.
Plus, they're 2 or 3 inches higher because they're on skates, and they're traveling at I don't know, what's the top speed of an ice skater on a hockey game? They're flying, right?
Oh yeah. They're flying back and forth. I mean, it's unbelievable. When you see these guys play like that, it's crazy. Definitely for people out there, if you've never been to a hockey game, you have to go see it. It's amazing.
Oh, and if you're in the corner, in your glass in the corner, it's just life's. You may not see down the other end, but life's good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's look at the Phoenix-Dallas game, John. It's at halftime.
It's at halftime right now. Phoenix is down 8, so not ideal. They kind of went back and forth. Luka hit a big 3 off a steal with 2 seconds left to end the half, so that was kind of put them back up 8. But the NBA, 8 points. That's only 3 possessions. That'll get wiped out in a minute and a half. If Phoenix could come out and play some good basketball. We still got the whole second half, which is too much time in the NBA.
I did 2 more bets. I did the Phoenix minus 2.5 for the second half, and I did over Phoenix team total over 57.5. They were way below their average after the first half. Yep. So we'll see what happens. But when you hit your first 2 hockey bets of the day, it's pretty easy to to get a little more creative with the other bets because you're playing with house money. Now,
you're already playing up. Yep.
Pay attention. But at the end of the day, I had a day. I literally had $1 day this week. I went to bed. I was up pretty good, and then what happened? I hopped on something, kind of like the Villanova game. I hopped on something, and right away I knew it was wrong. There's two options there. When you're wrong and you know it, you could chase, you could try to go the other way, or you could say, you know what, it's time to watch a movie.
Just cut your losses. Yeah.
Watch a movie. And I ended up being up $1 for the day. And you know what I said? Yeah, I took $1. It's funny. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. And then college basketball, what do we do? Oh, I saw the Memphis opportunity.
Yeah.
So I hopped on Memphis for the second half, and the total over 76. So we'll see how that goes. But I think they scored a little points here. And where's that Memphis game? Yeah, they're up. They've scored 30-something points so far. So in the second half, so we got a shot there.
It's a good start.
All right. So where are we at? We're going to go until the loudmouths kick us off in about 12 minutes or so. So let's do this. Let's before we get to the last game, which is Sunday evening. I'm not even sure where that game's at. I don't even remember what stadium that game is at, or if I know anybody that's going to be there. But
KC Mo.
Let's talk about the rest of this weekend. So, John, GMF Sports Consultant, Saturday and Sunday, what other action you going to have besides football?
We're going to do football and keep concentrating on college basketball. We've been tracking college now and feel pretty comfortable with where we're at so far in the year and the ability to have a good grip on the teams. And that'll be the main plays. We'll get our opportunities in with NFL and we'll concentrate on college basketball. Very few NHL and NBA plays, kind of similar to what Wes was talking about when we first jumped on the air. Just too many variables with COVID and stuff like that. So we're going to stick with what's been making us money, and we're going to ride that train.
Yeah, I would say that based on what we've seen, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and Wes, you're right there with college basketball. You're in a good place.
Yeah, we had a great week. I'm feeling good. You always hear that term, seeing the board well. And that's exactly where we're at. And I just hope to continue that. Obviously, we're getting into prime college basketball season. There's going to be a lot of tough matchups. March Madness is right around the corner. Best time of the year is coming up. So I look forward to that.
No doubt. Let's talk to Wes, Blackhawk Wes. You're going to the game Sunday.
No, I actually opted out of the game on Sunday. I quite frankly, the tickets and the extra tickets I had, and it was too appealing to pass up the offers. But and quite frankly, I could use the break. It's 19 degrees here today, and so I'm gonna be cooking at home, and I'm gonna be smoking some pork and brisket, and on nice. Saturday I'm looking at. I'm going to be on this Fairgrounds card. The Fairgrounds has a great card on Saturday. There's a couple G3s. There's about a half a dozen races that are over 100K. So I'm looking forward to that card very much because I think that we're going to see some potential breeders horses, or at least horses that are going to compete in some of these other stakes races, so at this point I'm starting to really look at the ponies, and we got a member on this Discord page that has been hitting pick 5s and pick 4s, and
you mentioned that, which you know what, I don't bet them because they're that hard to hit. They really are,
He is on him. I mean, that New Year's Eve, I sent you the picture of the one that he won, and then not even 30 minutes later, he's like, "I'm about to get the fourth one of another one," and it just so it just his energy has gotten me re-engaged in horses again. Probably about a month sooner than I'd be focused on it.
Right, no doubt about it. But in terms of going to the game. The games are only 3 hours when you're watching them, but it's a 9 or 10 hour day.
When you miss the others. You know, you miss the other games, and you know the Bud does a really nice job because they and Arrowhead in general, because there's different tailgate locations with screens. So we watched every second of that Dallas San Francisco game, you know, with the free beers and the free food before we went in. But you know it's cold. It's double digits right now.
No doubt about it. All right, let's speak about that game. Buffalo. We'll start with you, Wes. Buffalo and Kansas City. They just played, right?
They did, and it was at Arrowhead, and Buffalo just took it to the Chiefs. So, you know, I'll throw some information out there. Recently in local news, Willie Gay was involved in a misdemeanor, a domestic violence misdemeanor type situation. I'm not passing judgment on the player. That's not why I bring that up. That happened, and you know, it makes it difficult to choose one side or the other. He's a very important player to the Chiefs. He's a linebacker. He's accounted for turnovers and pressure. I don't know how that affects the team or if it even does. What I will say about the game, and that's been very public in local news. I don't know if it's made national or if you gentlemen have even read about it, but Willie Gay is a key player. The other piece is, I'll just throw it out there. When Buffalo beat Kansas City as badly as they did, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions and Pringle fumbled the ball. And that's what it took to beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. That is not the Chiefs team that is on the field right now. The Chiefs also, a very underrated move that they made was getting Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram is not putting up gaudy stats. I think he's only about 20 or 30 tackles for the season, and he's got a half a sack, but his presence is creating holes for some of the other defensive players. So this game, I can't make the pick. The Chiefs are a favorite, and if you look at where the action is, there's a lot of public action on Buffalo. The Chiefs at home in the playoffs, I mean, if I say the Chiefs -2, take the Chiefs, you guys are going to call me a homer and form your own opinions, but this is just a different Chiefs team than what we saw a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, it was beginning of the year. Remember, betting against the Chiefs was easy money, but they kicked it in right about halfway. I mean, it really, I'm looking, right? You got 3, 4, 7. They were 7 L's and 2. So we're 2-7. And then they ended the season 7-2 or 8-2. Whatever 17 equals. So yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible turnaround. No doubt about it. What about you, John?
Tough game. This is going to be, I think, just a great game to watch. Probably, you know, the game of the week here, the playoffs. I think going into KC is always tough. You're playing Patrick Mahomes. You're playing, you know, Tyreek Hill. You're playing Kelsey. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills here. I was circling the wagon with them last year, and KC kind of ruined that festivity. So I'm going against my brother-in-law again. We're going to play for another steak dinner. Yeah. Hopefully this year I get to eat it. But we'll see how that works out. Yeah, but I'm probably, other than that, I'm not really going to put any money on this game. Maybe some in-game opportunities either way, depending on how, you know, the first 5 to 7 minutes goes. I'm just going to sit back and watch and enjoy, and I think we're going to see a very good game against 2 very good teams and 2 very great quarterbacks here.
Yeah, I mean, the game that Josh Allen played last week was literally what you see in high school, or even at college. It was just an amazing performance. I told somebody it was like at the family reunion when the uncle plays with the nephews and the uncle's pretty good. He's still pretty young. He was just running over people and he just dominated that game. And you mentioned Melvin Ingram. Well, he's a good football player. And, you know, the Rams did that when they picked up the guy from Denver. The bottom line is when you have an extra good defensive player on your team, he may not get the stats, but the team stats go down. They get better. And that's really a key element of this game is, will they be able to stop that kid? Because if you know, that's Patrick Mahomes with the 3rd and 17s, right? And scampering for 19.
It's 3rd and Mahomes boy.
Yeah, it totally changes the game. There's no doubt about it. So it's really going to be interesting. I am going to throw a stat out here that I that I mentioned earlier on the other show, and it's a 13-2 stat. In the Kansas City Chiefs' last 15 playoff games, 15 playoff games. So that's a few years now. In the second half, they are 13-2.
Wow.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing.
All right. So, and of course, they've got a lot of those are at home. You got to assume, right? I didn't break it down by home and away, but
so
I would imagine.
Interesting. Patrick Mahomes says the only road playoff games he's played have been Super Bowls.
Yeah, because they were the number one seed almost every time.
They were number one every time. Yeah.
They were 1 or 2, or they were 2 and 1 loss, but he's only been on the road in a Super Bowl. And if they somehow were to win this game this weekend, and John and I are correct about Cincinnati, he would not see a road home playoff game for a long time.
So if the AFC NFC championship is in Kansas City,
it's
have to lose, right? You would go to that game, right?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, there's no question. I mean, those are the biggest games in Chiefs history. I mean, you can match them, but you can't exceed a game that sends them to the Super Bowl. I highly doubt that we're ever going to see a Super Bowl in February in the Midwest.
In Kansas City, yeah.
Exactly. All right, so John, before we let him go, again, you're watching Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's just before 9 o'clock, you're about to hop on with the loudmouths. John, where can they find you?
Yep. Just like always, GMF_sports consultants on Instagram. You can always click that little bit.ly link that you got on that banner going by over there. And those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Wes.
151 Sports, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or the best place to get a hold of me is at Chicago Options Trader. And if you sign up and use the code 151 Sports, you'll get a very nice discount and some free stuff, and you'll make money during the week in the stock market. That's for sure. And after what the Dow's done these last 5 days, we've been cashing.
No doubt about that. I'm Second Half Chaz. Always be cashing.